I haven't done a talking head video for quite a while, and I thought it would be a good idea for me to go over my computer science and programming books. Now, I have done a video like this before in the past, but over the last few years I've gathered a few more books. So let's crack on and we'll go through all of my computer science books. So these aren't in any particular order, and I've got a lot of books to go through, so I'm not going to spend a long time talking about each of them. So they aren't individual book reviews, it's just an indication of the kind of stuff that I've got in my library, the books I think are worthwhile having, and the ones that I enjoy. And of course there will be a few in there that I haven't actually used very much at all. So we'll start off, and this is very random. The very first one I want to mention is this one here, PC Assembly Language Step by Step. Now, I got this book back in 1992, I think it was, and that's when I first learned assembly language programming. In this case, it's on the 8086, 8088 microprocessor. Now, it had an excellent little tool that you could use in order to learn to program in assembly language, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I hunted for it online and I actually gave up on it, and years later someone got in contact and they had found that little bit of software. So I may well make a few videos on that little bit of software tool associated with this book. It's an excellent way to learn some assembly language programming. So I'll make some room here and we'll head on to the next book. So I've mentioned this before in other videos, computer principles. I'll try and get it to, well, there, that's better. Principles of Computer Organisation, a first course using the 68000. So I have mentioned this book before. I got this book again way back in 1993, I think, whenever I was at uni, and I've kept it because it's an excellent introduction to just the basics of computer architecture and how the assembly language fits into the computer architecture. So that's a nice little book. Now there's another, I think this is a relatively famous one in terms of the assembly language programming. So I'll bring it straight in, then you can see it. So the MC68000 Assembly Language Programming by Bremer and Bremer, and that's the second edition. So again, this is an excellent book for learning assembly language programming on the MC68000. Again, I got this back when I was a student, and it's probably the first book that I ever used that gave me a really good solid introduction to assembly language programming. And in fact, if you were interested in getting into assembly language programming, I would suggest that you get a copy of this book online, and also you can get an MC68000 emulator, and you can work through this book with the emulator. So there's another quite famous one here, and it's Elements of the Computing Systems, and it's Build a Modern Computer from First Principles. Okay, so I haven't built this computer from first principles. I simply haven't had the time, but if I do get the time, then that's exactly what I will do, because I have talked to other people who have used it, and they said that it's been an excellent introduction to understanding exactly how computers work, so how all the way from the high level language through compiling and down to the assembly and linking and into the machine code. So that's another worthwhile one. Now this one here, I don't really use this one. Digital Design and Computer Architecture. I kind of flicked through it. I never really took to this book. That's not to say that it isn't a good book, it's just not of my personal taste, okay? So you may well get it and think, yeah, this is really, really good, okay? So it's just about personal attitudes. For me, I found the book was very, very busy. Busy on diagrams throughout, so I just couldn't quite take to it. But there is a lot of good stuff within the book, and I have used it now and again, just for reference. Now here's another one that I haven't really used. It's an old one, and it's called, you can zoom in, Computer System Architecture, 3rd edition. Now I've not really used this. Again, it's an older book from the mid-80s, I think, and there's a bit about assembly language, but I kind of never used it because I've already really covered a lot of this work already, and I would just be reading over stuff that I kind of already know. So that's just for me personally. Now let's have a look. This one here, Structured Computer Organisation. Okay, now this is an excellent book. I have used parts of this. None of the books I've gone through, well, apart from a couple of at the beginning, in fact, the first 3, I was going to say none of the books I've gone through cover to cover, but the very first 3 that I showed you, I've gone through those cover to cover. But the rest of the books we have here, I haven't gone through them cover to cover. So this book here, again, it's got excellent sections on it in terms of instruction set architectures and also the microarchitectures and microarchitecture level design. So that's a good book, and it's got a lot of good details and examples in it. Now an older one again, just a bit about logic design, electronic logic circuits. Again, this was an old university one from the mid 1990s. It's okay, it's not a bad book. It was the recommended book for the course at that time in the early 1990s, but you can learn logic design online, and there's a lot easier ways to learn logic design, and the best way to do it is actually with some sort of a software tool or a piece of freeware tool that you can get online in order to build electronic circuits. So another one here, and what have we got? We've got algorithms. Okay, so this is an older edition of algorithms, and again I've used it now and again. I've flicked through it just to pick out particular algorithms that I was interested in and to have a little look through. It is an older version, it's a wee bit dated in terms of the structure and the way it's outlaid and the typeset and that sort of thing. It's a little bit dated, but it's still got a lot of good algorithms in it, and it's well described, and the later versions of this book are very popular. Now this one I would say has been one that's been most useful to me. Principles of Computer Hardware, that's by Clements. Okay, so that's been really useful for me to work out different architectures for a CPU, and lots of good examples, and a good basic introduction to some logic design. And it's just well laid out, and it basically covers everything. So if you're looking to get a book that's going to cover all of the basic logic design all the way up through to designing an actual CPU, and also bits and bobs about floating point numbers and stuff, then I would recommend this book. I think that's a good starting position. Okay, this book here, and again you can get it online as well. So it's an older book, so you can get it relatively cheaply. So what else do we have? Another one here. See if I can get you. Oh, that's not so good. Right, I'll there. That's better. You can see my face here. So computer architecture and logic design. Okay, so another book that I've used for bits and bobs, but again, a lot of the stuff that's in this book was covered in the previous book. I don't actually even remember when I got this book. Okay, but the idea was I wanted to have a good few options when it came to the actual when it came to reading and understanding stuff about computer architecture. So one of the other books in my library, let's have a look now. This is quite a famous book in programming. Okay, it came recommended to me. I'll move over so you can zoom in properly. Oh, that's terrible. Come on. Yeah. Alright, that's better. Structure and interpretation of computer programs. Okay, now I only just started going through this book, but it's a bit of a Bible when it comes to people who are programmers who are in the know, and it tends to be a book that's recommended by really good programmers. I was online and I kept coming across this book, and loads of people on Reddit and other places were recommending this book. So I went out and got a copy. Now, again, I haven't worked through it because I'm so busy with other things. But a lot of the stuff I've got here, will I go through in my lifetime? Well, I don't know. Some of them I probably won't have to, because I've already covered a lot of the work that's in a lot of these books. And of course, a lot of them, they say the same thing, just in a different way. Now, the last one of this lot, before I get the next lot of books, this is a classic. This is a brilliant book, and there's a couple of reasons why I'm really happy with this book. So we've got Computer Organisation and Design, Hardware Software Interface. Okay, so that's again a very famous book, and it's quite I think it's the latest edition, the 5th edition. So it is a beautiful book. It's a beautiful modern book. Again, if I was to pick out two books from the pile that I've just shown you, then it would probably be this one here, in terms of computer architecture. Okay, Principles of Computer Hardware, and the other one would be this one here. Now, it is a beautiful book, and it's got some fantastic information in it regarding processors, processor design, and examples of building processors. And it's just a beautifully put together book, and lots of stuff on the dynamic branching prediction, so a lot of detailed stuff in this book, pipelining as well. So it's an excellent book, and I would highly recommend it. Now, the other reason I really like this book is because I got it for 50 pence. Yeah, 50 UK pence. That's about, I don't know, 70 cents, 70 American cents from my local charity shop. Okay, so a classic buy. Now, that's the first half of the books, and you can see the pile has come up to here, so I'll get rid of this pile and I'll get the other pile and I'll go through that second half. So I think the second half possibly is more programming than architecture. So I've just realised I've got more books than I thought I did have, so this video might take a little bit longer. So again, I'll try and crack through just to show you what I've got. So there's another one. So learn scientific program with Python. Okay, so again, not a book that I've used an awful lot. Whenever I learn in Python, I tend to do it online, and you can learn an awful lot online. But again, this is kind of an aspirational book. I'd like to be able to sit and work through it, and at some point in time I might just stop everything I'm doing and just decide, you know, I'm going to take this book and I'm going to work through this book from cover to cover. That's the sort of thing I would tend to do. Okay, so another one I am actually working on at the moment, and again it's a relatively famous one. Compilers, Principles, Techniques and Tools. So I've read the first 2 chapters of this book. It's an older book again, but it's got everything in it I need to know about compiler design, or I hope it has. Now, I've got another 4 books here, and these were a bit of an impulse buy. The kind of things that people would tend to have in their library as a reference, not necessarily using all of it, because it's almost so detailed. I feel good when I pick them up and I hold them, but I've never gone into an awful lot of it in a lot of detail. It's really something that, a set of books that, well, anybody who's into computer science, or that sort of range of things will know these books. So you actually have to show you the side. Okay, so this is, it's the Nuth. I can't get this to focus. Wait a second, this is in the way, right? That's the focus part. Okay, so that's the first book. That's Combinational Algorithms Part 1, that by Nuth. Okay, so again, it's big thick tome. Okay, and that's the first volume. Okay, and I've got, you know, the 4 volumes here. I took the dust covers off because I just think I preferred the way they looked with the dust covers off. But these are quite a famous set of books. Andy's still writing. Ooh, Andy's still writing the last couple of books, I believe. Okay, so there's an awful lot in this. Am I going to work through these books? Probably not. Okay, there'll be a reference book. The books that I love to have on my shelf. Every time I turn around and I see them on my shelf, it makes me feel good. I think it makes me feel good because I know there's so much out there that I don't know, and I can still learn. So that's a good thing. I picked up this little book. It's not a technical book, but again, picked it up at the charity shop for 50 pence. Okay, so Alan Turing, The Enigma. It's actually quite a thick book, and the writing's quite tiny, so it's looks like it's going to be a really good read. So something I'll get through at some point in time. Now this is an historical one again. I bought this back in the early 1990s, Numerical Recipes in C. Now the great thing about this book is that it's kind of like a half mathematics book and a half programming book. The mathematics is described in it is really good. And I'm surprised at the number of times I'll head to that book if I'm wanting to find out something in particular. Now, I've read this one. This is another one actually I have read cover to cover. Inside the Machine. Okay, so an illustrated introduction to microprocessors and computer architecture. So this is really a modern book. Okay, the imagery in it is fantastic. The pictures in it are all fantastic. Okay, it's the first one I've kind of flicked through, but it's got lots of fantastic pictures describing modern architectures and how they work. So I've read this one cover to cover about 2 years ago. This one, again, I've read about half of this one, but an awful lot of it. A lot of the stuff in it is kind of, I've covered it before. Modern computer architecture and organisation. Okay, so I'll pop this up here. Now this pile here is getting quite high, as you see. Another computer system design. Okay. Microprocessor system design, so it's more like a systems book, and again it's an older book covering the 68000 architecture. I've only gone through again snippets of this, so I'll put this one here and we'll have a second pile. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books to go over, and that's us done. Okay, another Python book, Cracking the Code with Python. Codes with Python, so it's a good way to learn a little bit of cryptography and Python at the same time. That was my idea when I bought the book. An older book here on compiler design. Now it might not focus because of the type of cover it's got here. It's a really weird cover, so that's it's difficult focusing on it. I don't think I'll get that focused. Oh, there we go. Assemblers, compilers and program translation. Okay, so it's an older 1970s book on compiler design. Something here, I've worked through a large part of this book, and it's a really detailed book. Handbook of Floating Point Arithmetic. So if you want to understand floating point arithmetic and floating point numbers, and also the architecture of floating point units, then this is like an excellent book to have. It's heavy going, and I have gone through well, not quite cover to cover, but I've gone through at least half of it in a lot of detail. So another couple of Python books, and that's us done. Okay, so this one was recommended to me by Timothy Morgan, and he said that this was one of the books I think he learned from as an introduction, and it is actually quite a good book. Again, it's for me getting time to go through these things, but having worked through some of it, and if you are looking for an introductory book, I would recommend that. Now the last one here is another book, and it's called Computational Physics. Okay, so it's really Python, and it's learning Python through computational physics. So the way I kind of thought about it is that I'm not so interested as much in the programming side. I'm interested in mathematics, and I'm always having to try to brush up my programming. So my intentions usually are to buy a book on a mathematical subject I'm interested in, and then learn the actual content of the programming through doing the mathematics that I enjoy. So that's a list of all my books. I've probably got another 2 or 3 sitting about somewhere. They're dotted all over the house, but that's pretty much most of what I've got. You can see a large portion of my books, probably about 60 or 70%, is actually in computer architecture, because it's the architecture that I'm interested in. So I kind of go from the mathematics and then architecture, and the last part really is programming. Now the programming part is the part that I would admit that is the side that I spend the least amount of my time on. It's really mathematics and the architecture that I enjoy, but I do have to do quite a bit of programming, and so this is why I've picked up these books over the years. So hopefully that was of interest to you. It's an awful lot of books actually. I hadn't realised it until I started talking about it, just how many books I do have. But that's all for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, you please subscribe and hit the like button and let me know, and I can generate a few more videos like this.